What's this?
Boydell.
Boydell. And the name of the company?
CeADAR.
CeADAR. That's nice and easy.
Over to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Oisin Boydell and I'm a senior researcher at CeADAR. So CeADAR is the Centre for Applied Data Analytics Research. So my talk is about new frontiers in data analytics. I'm specifically focused on real-time analytics. So data analytics, it's a rapidly changing landscape at the moment. So the core statistical and analytics techniques, these have been around for many years. So there's a lot of statistics, a lot of mathematics that, you know, a long time ago this kind of stuff has been developed and understood. However, many more recent innovations have been enabled through advances in technology, and this is much more recent. So the big buzzword, big data analytics, that's been enabled through advances in technology that enables the gathering of huge amounts of data, storage and the processing of it. Machine learning and predictive modelling, that's come on hugely in recent years, and again that's to do with advancements in technology and processing power in really what you can do and how much data you can churn through. There's advanced visualization techniques as well, and this is something with new methods that's more recent innovation. And then real-time analytics, and that's what I'm particularly going to talk about in this talk. So real-time analytics, it's at the cutting edge, but at the same time, it's starting to be widely adopted. So there's a lot of people doing real-time analytics in their companies. There's a lot of people interested in it, and there's a lot of people also doing the cutting-edge research and looking at the challenges and how to address those challenges in real-time analytics. But I suppose, first we need to ask, well, what is real-time analytics? Well, in data analytics, real-time is generally understood to mean that it's analysis of data and it's analysed and the results are made available as soon as or very shortly after it's generated. And this is it's very different to the traditional offline batch analysis approach on analytics, where we have huge amounts of historical data. It's been collected at a previous time, it's static, it's held in data warehousing solutions. It's not, a lot of it's not going to change. And the processing, it often involves multiple passes over the data, so algorithms can run over the data, find a partial solution, repeat over the data again to refine that solution. And large chunks of data can be processed at a time. And it's also an involvement of doing some analysis and repeating that analysis to further refine and do a kind of exploratory analysis over the data as well. And the results, they're available often long after the data was produced. So we see here that the data is originally sensed or recorded and stored. It might be a number of days until it's then analysed. This could be weeks or months even. And then typically it could be weeks or even longer from the results, the insights that come out of that analysis for actions to be taken based on that, for a company to act on those results. So this whole time scale from when the data is collected, it might be customer data from the last 6 months that's analysed over a period of a few months, and then that goes into the planning for the next year, for example, or in 6 months hence. So we're talking much longer time scales. However, with real-time analytics, and when we compare it to this, we're talking about data as it's produced, generated. So you're really capturing the data as soon as you can, as soon as it's being produced from customers interacting with your services, from systems that you're running that are producing the data in real time, and you're capturing that. It's looking at processing the individual data points as they're available. So as soon as the data arrives, it's about looking at them, processing them straight away with as low latency as possible, and also single pass computation. So you have this information arriving and you have to process it as it arrives. It's not so much looking at going back then over historical data and reprocessing that, it's looking at it here and now. And the results then are available as soon as possible after the data is generated, and often the type of time scales will be milliseconds or seconds. So we see this as very much condensed the whole process. So between sensing, recording, the data being generated, there's milliseconds or seconds between, and it's analysed. And most importantly as well, it's about acting on this information as soon as it becomes available, as soon as those insights can be produced. So real-time analytics, there's a lot of talk about this now, a lot of interest in it. A lot of people are asking, is it for me? And it's something that people are jumping on as something new that they should be looking into. And why is that? Well, I suppose some of the scenarios are, essentially it's a faster paced world. So to have an advantage in business, for example, if you can do something quicker to react to changing circumstances faster than your competitors, you're going to have an advantage. Of course, there's real-time data streams available much more now as well, with things like sensors, embedded sensors, digital communication, and so on. So these real-time data, so we're recording and logging events and actions, and this is accessible and can be accessed as they happen or very shortly after they happen. So this creates these real-time streaming data that can be tapped into. And then it's going back to the technology improvements then that allows this whole area. And we're looking at systems, and that's from core architectures, computer architectures, and to the software level as well, that allows the efficient processing and simply allows this kind of fast-moving data to be analysed. So it's worth looking at a few use cases. So real-time analytics, a lot of people talk about what can it and what is it actually being used for? What's it for? So one use case is detecting fraud prevention. So in traditional fraud detection, for example in financial transactions, doing this in a historical way is kind of of limited value. So you can tell, okay, in the records of the transactions over the last month, a few percent of these were fraudulent. But these have already happened. Money's already been lost or taken out of circulation from the people involved. So, there's limited actions that you can do to resolve this at that point. Whereas real-time analytics allows fraud to be identified as it happens. And this gives you the opportunity of actually preventing that fraud before it actually goes through the full system. So you can take action in that case. And this is broadened out to more a case of taking action based on something that's happening right now, rather than seeing it's happened some time down the line and then just reporting on. And there's a number of companies here that are actually very active in this space. RealTime Payments, for example, in Irish-based company, are looking at a lot of real-time fraud detection. We're doing some projects in this area. Another use case is around machine-generated data. So high volume, high velocity, real-time machine-generated data. So server and computer system logs producing vast amounts of data on how their operation, if they have error states, for example, how they're performing, machine operational data, Internet of Things, sensor data. So all this kind of information is being monitored and produced, and this is often really high throughput, high velocity data streams. Other examples such as vehicle system telemetry, where as a vehicle is actually moving and is being used, it's producing this data. And in many cases you want to analyse this as it's happening, because taking actions on that, you want to do that as the vehicle it's important to have that done in real time to prevent problems and to react as things are happening. So this has been generally used to detect and predict faults, to analyse performance, and to improve efficiency as things are happening. And a statistic here, which is that Boeing 737 generates 240 terabytes of operational data, and that's just from its engines during a single flight across the US. Now, of course, the vast majority of this information may not be useful at the time that aircraft is flying, but a certain proportion surely is, and to be able to access that data in real time and to get insights and information from that at that point in time is hugely important. And there's a number of companies here that are looking into this area, particularly in kind of server and computer system logs, real-time this is just an excerpt from a white paper from IBM it's about a year ago now, and it's just showing the broad swathe of different use cases for real-time analytics. So it's everything from telephony, transportation, energy, utilities, health and life sciences, particularly in monitoring, natural systems. There's even law enforcement, cybersecurity, stock market. That's a real scenario where real-time actions are hugely important. Fraud prevention, of course, mentioned here, e-science, and a number of other areas, manufacturing in others there as well. So as you can see, the opportunities for real-time analytics are hugely broad across many different industries. However, there's a lot of buzz around real-time analytics, and when you have a new technology that people start hearing about, it's often the case that you think, well, we should be doing this too. But there's many scenarios, of course, where you should not be thinking about using real-time analytics. So an important question is to ask, well, do you really require the immediate, instant insights that real-time analytics can provide? And more importantly, can you actually act on these insights at that speed? So, in this scenario here, we might be gathering the data, accessing the data, collecting it, and processing that in a real-time way with really low latency, milliseconds, seconds. But then, if you cannot, as a company, act on those insights for maybe hours, days, or weeks, then the benefit of being able to do that is minimal. And of course, there's challenges in order to do real-time analytics. So, unless it's a particular advantage to be able to perform the analytics in real time on real-time data streams, there's a lot of extra challenges around that. So I'm going to just talk about some of these in a bit more detail. So compared to traditional batch style analytics, we have challenges in terms of the velocity in addition to the volume of data. So in those nice photographs there, we have this idea on the left of huge amounts of data, there's huge amount here, but it's not moving very fast. So that's a very different challenge to be able to understand that in terms of data than the picture on the right, where we have quite a high volume of information, but it's also moving at a really high velocity. And you need different approaches, different technologies, different processes to be able to analyze and react on that. There's also stricter bounds on computational efficiency. And I'll discuss this in a bit more detail in a minute, but this is looking at, well, if you're going to analyze something in real time, that computation has to be very quick to match that speed. Also, the single pass analytical algorithms that are required, and the incrementally updatable models. So if you have predictive models based on data that's streaming, that you're building, you need to be able to update the model as new data points arrive, otherwise your models aren't really reacting to the real-time data that you have. And then, of course, the visualization presentation of these insights requires a different approach than more traditional reporting of batch analytics. So firstly, with velocity, well, there's many big data infrastructures around that are designed for handling volume, but not for data in motion. So just some statistics here. Now, it's quite hard to get recent statistics, so these have probably all increased since these times, but the Twitter fire hose was about 150,000 tweets a second. This was 3 years ago. Looking at the way things go, that might have doubled or tripled since then. Global SMS traffic, 193,000 SMS messages a second in 2010. Huge volume of Facebook content items shared. And all these services have increased since. Discuss website comment platform, talking about 165,000 messages a second. And with really high peaks then in options price reporting. So this is in relation to the stock market. So we have 16 million messages a second peaks here. So this is really high volume, or high velocity, as well as high volume data streams. But there are technology solutions now emerging, such as Apache Kafka, which is a high throughput distributed messaging system. And these kind of systems are specifically designed for kind of handling these kind of velocities in message processing, and to be able to take those streams, to deliver them into the right system and enable analytics and computation to be performed over those. Then for computational efficiency, well, a data stream, it can't be paused to wait for computation to complete. Unlike with offline batch processing, you can run your systems, your processing overnight, you can get the results the next morning in your report. But if the data is live, you can't slow that down in any way. So the message is, so the data points that you're processing, they must be processed at least as fast as they've been received. And in this diagram here, we see that, you know, if you're not processing them as quick as they're being received, you're going to have bottlenecks here. And that's going to be bad if you're processing. It's eventually going to lead to an inability to process that data. And again, there's a number of technologies that are emerging over the last couple of years, specifically to provide this kind of computational requirements. Some open source solutions such as Apache Storm, Spark Streaming, Flink, which is kind of a European version based out of a research project from Berlin, which is gaining traction recently. And there's a number of other, including proprietary solutions as well in this kind of area. Then moving on to the analytics algorithms. Well, there are many commonly used analytics algorithms, from statistics, data mining, optimization, machine learning. These have been around for a while, but they often require multiple passes over the data, as I mentioned before, and they're not incrementally updatable, so that you build your model and you process the data, you can get this churning away over a few hours. But if you have a scenario with new data points coming in and you want to update the model, so update your view of what's going on based on new information that's arriving as it arrives, then these models are very hard to update incrementally. And just an example of a project that we produced around clustering, where we developed a novel single-pass, incrementally updatable and scalable clustering algorithm, and we implemented this on Apache Storm. So this was an area that CeADAR is working on to look at how to create more real-time applicable algorithms or versions of existing data analytics algorithms. And the final area that I mentioned was visualization. So there's a challenge, how to present real-time analytics outputs and insights. We're used to looking at static reports, static charts, summaries of the activity over the last month of your customers, for example. But how do you show this in a real-time way where it's actually changing in a live, dynamic way? Well, I mean, there's a number of live kind of visualizations, interactive graph, dynamic dashboards, and so on, which have been developed to allow this. And the example at the front there is a visualization that we developed for a project where it was looking at tracking the flow of information and issues in, for example, call center operations in a live way, and showing how this works over time and can be updated as new information arrives. So CeADAR, I'll talk about CeADAR just briefly in a minute in what we are and what we have to offer. We have quite a lot of real-time analytics expertise. We work across multiple areas in data analytics with particular focus, especially in UCD, on real-time analytics. So we have done development of real-time single-pass algorithms, so the clustering example, and other algorithms around topic modeling, unstructured data processing. We have done work around comparison and evaluations of stream processing frameworks. So we've looked at some of the frameworks available. How do those compare? What are the pros and cons of each one? Are there good performance improvements over certain tasks for some of the other? And we have produced demonstrator implementations of real-time analytics tasks. So produced 6-month project demonstrators on how you might implement a certain real-time analytics task on one of these frameworks, for example. And we've recently done a project on the integration of multiple streams from different sources with different kinds of data, and how you might integrate these in real time. This is using Spark Streaming, for example. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of CeADAR, who we are. So we're the Centre for Applied Data Analytics, and we're a market-led centre, and we're focused on development, deployment of big data analytics technology and innovation, and we're for the competitive advantage of its member companies. We're funded by Enterprise Ireland and the IDA, and this is just a snapshot of some of the companies. We've got up to about 50 member companies now, and this is ranging from some of the large companies, you recognise the names, large multinationals, as well as very small individuals, small Irish startup companies. And as you can see, the companies span a wide range of industries. So we've everything from financial services companies, agricultural companies, technology companies, so a huge range. And we provide analytics solutions and research across all these different industries. And where CeADAR sits in the grand scheme of things, so we can think of, there's a lot of knowledge and expertise in Irish universities, and that is often a challenge for industry to be able to access that, to be able to take that expertise and knowledge and to be actually able to apply it in their own industry. So we sit in the middle, looking at application development, developing proof of concept demonstrators for companies. And we're very much industry focused. We have an industry steering board, and we have the large industry membership, as you saw, which all the projects and the challenges we work on come directly from industry problems, from things that Irish and multinational industry are facing every day. So we have core themes across the kind of broad data analytics spectrum. So we have a specific team in visualization analytics interfaces. We have a team in data management for analytics, and also in the advanced analytics area. This is where the continuous and real-time analytics area fits. And we're spread across UCC, UCD and DIT. So we have a core funded open innovation proposition. So we develop tools, techniques and technologies. And it's very much applied R&D, and it's exclusively directed at industry challenges. So we have senior R&D staff, and we don't run any educational programs, so all our core staff are 100% working on these industry problems. And we produce around 20 demonstrators delivered a year for industry. We work on rapid prototyping, so our projects are around 6 months in duration, which really fits much better the kind of timeframes of industry. All these demonstrators are funded by a core fund, so Enterprise Ireland. So we really leverage the government funding through Enterprise Ireland that's available in this for this kind of research task. We also have a bespoke proposition. So as well as the core funded engagement model, which is funded purely from Enterprise Ireland funding, we can also engage with companies on a one-to-one basis for collaborative research, consultancy and training. We use Enterprise Ireland instruments such as innovation partnerships, which can fund up to 80% of research projects that we work on with a company. So they're very cost effective. And we're also involved with EU Horizon 2020 funding. So I'd recommend for an overview of the kind of projects we've done. So we have some 20 or so previous demonstrators. These are all available to see the details on online. Areas in customer analytics, of course real-time analytics, which I discussed, content center analytics, social media, supply chain, sentiment analysis, video and image, predictive analytics, and new visualization and dashboards and so on. So we really cover quite a broad range of data analytics challenges. So finally, delivering value with CeADAR. So companies can become a member of the centre, can propose new projects, can partner on existing projects, can evaluate the demonstrators we produce in their own business, in their own systems on their own data, for example. We have an ecosystem where we have seminars on up-and-coming areas of data analytics, and for companies to network and discuss their challenges amongst themselves if they're so wish. Companies can commission bespoke projects. We run workshops, and we also invite people who want to collaborate on H2020 projects. Thank you very much.